Hi, good morning. My name is Raquel, and thank you for coming to watch my podcast. Today's July 8th. It's a Sunday, and June kind of went by really fast. I was dealing with some health issues in the family, and last week, or a couple weeks ago, someone dumped a little kitten in my parents' yard. And she's now currently living with me. I've not named her because I don't think I can keep her. So that's what we're going to start with. I'm going to start with this little lady over here, and then I'm going to do things differently. I have a whole bunch of yarn stash to show you because I went a bit crazy in June, which was my birthday month, so I got a bunch of presents, and then I went a bit crazy. Then again, there were a lot of deals on, but I'll talk about that later. Then I'll show you this pile of finished projects that I finished, like some of them last year, others like some years ago, but that I finally got around to blocking while I was at my parents' place. And then the two projects I'm working on, because there's one project I can't show you. I'm going to show her again and talk about her before she wanders off. So yeah, this little thing was dumped in my parents' place. She is totally an indoor cat. She only wants to be inside. She wants to be on everyone's lap. She only wants to cuddle. She's 2 years old, but she is this small. And she's not liking this very much. She's not getting along too great with the cat at the moment. She's fine with the dogs. Not issue there. She's not getting along with the cats. And you want to go, don't you? So she's here because we got her fixed. She's sterilized, and while she's recovering from that, she's here with me. So she's already finished all her medication, but I'm off this coming week. So I said I'd keep her for another week to see what she's really like now that she's more or less recovered. You can still see her scar. I won't show you because she's not particularly happy with being here at the moment, as you can see. You want to go? Off you go then. She basically has come in and she thinks she owns the whole place, which is the cat is not liking at all. So he's over there. They seem to be getting along slightly better in the last day, but then again, they both have some battle scars already. Nothing major, just a couple of scratches on their heads from going at each other. So if any one of you know of a good home I can give her to, then that would be great, because I most like if things, yeah, I don't really have the space in my apartment to keep another pet. I already have 3, and that's like, I think that's my limit for the moment. If I had a bigger place, then yeah, no problem, she'd stay, and eventually the 2 cats would figure each other out. She's totally fine with Rusty. There's not an issue with Rusty at all. With Dakota, not so much an issue, but Dakota antagonizes her, and then she gets slapped on the face because the cat's not into it. Like I said, she's still recovering from the sterilization, so she's not too happy with Dakota sniffing her wound and everything. So now let's go on to the yarny goodness, and we're going to start with yarn that I spun. And yeah, I have some spinning on the wheel at the moment, but I forgot to bring it, so I'm not going to show that now. I have some photos on Instagram if you want to go have a look. Because as far as I'm concerned, July, the whole month, whether the Tour de France starts on the 1st of July or not, for me the whole month is Tour de Fleece. So I started on the 1st of July, and I spun some yarn that I have, some roving that I have lying around. And for whatever reason, yeah, I really like spinning, but I don't really do it a lot. So I'm going to try from now until the end of the year, try to spin up a lot more of the roving and the bats I have lying around. So we're going to start with the yarn I've spun over the last couple of years, because that's how long I've been spinning, only for 2 years, even though I've had the wheel for slightly longer. I think it was only in 2016 that I managed to create my first real perfect or good yarn, which was this one. And now I did not wash this one yet. I have washed the others. I'll show you. So this was the first yarn I spun, which was the white is mohair that I got from a friend who has her own mohair goats, and she has to shave them twice a year. And so she has like a mill close by her that processes the whole thing, and then it comes out as pencil roving. So it's really easy to spin up. And then the colored parts were some merino bats that I got from Dona Maria, Rosario from Dona Maria, and now Rusty's wanting to come over here. So excuse me for a second. Come here. Come on. He wants to come say hello. And he's just throwing things on the floor. Okay. So, Mr. Rusty, who likes to be on my lap. Anyway, I was saying, so this is a mix of mohair and merino, and initially I was going to knit a hat out of this. I was going to spin up more of the mohair, but I might turn them into mittens because I think I have enough for mittens. I have to figure out exactly how much yardage I have, and this is probably more a sport to DK than a fingering, which is what I was going for, but yeah, it's more sport fingering weight. So yeah, so that's the first yarn I ever spun that I thought was decent enough to work with. Rusty, can you leave the yarn alone? Okay. Then I've spun some other one that I've not brought here, which again was 2 big pieces of roving that I had from Dona Maria from Rosario. One she gifted me when I bought, and because the colors were similar, I just put them together. There's a whole bunch of pinks and stuff. So I'm going to use that for, depending again on yardage that I have, I don't know, maybe the start of a shawl or something like that. There might be some cat noises coming because the cattery is now getting used by the little one. And we're fine for now. So then this other yarn, which I did wash while I was at my parents' place. This is actually Adria Feliz, which is like a really thick pencil roving yarn to actually knit with, and it's like almost felted, not quite 100% felted, but I decided I wasn't going to use that thick yarn, and I had like 10 balls of this stuff. I bought this like years and years ago in Holland, and I made a bag out of it. At the time, you know, I bought it on sale, so I think I just decided to get the whole lot and everything. So I decided to try my hand at spinning it, and that's what I've done. Again, I need to figure out how much I have in terms of yardage. Put your head up there. So yeah, this is like, it's pretty true to color what you see. It's like a green, blue, and like sometimes you have like the brighter green over there. Sorry, I'm like really far away from the computer now, what with Rusty being on my lap. Then the one that I'm really super pleased with was some gradients yarns that I got on Etsy. It's 100% Falkland Corriedale, and the color name is Witch's Brew. So it's like a Halloween colorway, and I love these colors. Now, the idea was to do sort of the gradients, and it's done a bit of barber pooling over here, but I'm not bothered by that at all. I really like it. So the one I'm spinning up now is the Monster. It's called Monster, and it's greens and the same shade of like bluish purple. So I'm thinking of putting the two together, maybe starting off with this one and then fading into the other one, and creating a nice big shawl that I can wear around Halloween time. So either I'm going to end up designing my own shawl for this, or I'll see if I can find like something I like online. So this I washed, and I really, like I said, I love the orange is not really my color, but I really love it in this combination. Then the other one that I spun up, and this is so far has all just been 2-ply. The other one I spun up, and it is okay, so I can move forward now because Rusty's decided to go on the table. This one I did in Navajo ply, so I made from a single ply. I made a 3-ply, and the reason I did that was because I only had a little bit of this. This was I believe called a Battle Bat dyed by Undercover Otter, and I won this on the Colorful Creativity podcast 2 years ago, I believe. And it's still kind of kinky. It's like still has a lot of high twists in there and everything, but that's okay. This one, again, I'm thinking of making mitts out of this. One of the mitts will be green, the other mitt will be the orange, which I'm fine with. I know that they're a pair, so that's okay. And if you see any like this purple in here, that's just little pieces of fluff that came off the of this yarn that I had like lying around. So I just Rusty's knocking everything off the table now. Like I said, this is like, if you could see this, there's a whole bunch of yarn over here, and Rusty's decided to create a little space in the yarn. So yeah, this is the yarn I've spun so far, and like I said, I'm now spinning up another one. My idea is to finish off that whole bat. It's a 200 gram braid of roving, so I'm hoping to finish that off by the end of July, and hopefully get some other spinning done that I have got lying around. I'm covered in cat hair, and I brushed. Okay, this little, just back to the cat, so you have a bit more information on her. She is totally fine with dogs. Like I said, she's not doing too great with my cat, but okay. I have cut her nails, not an issue. I have brushed her, not an issue. She had to take the medication orally, so I managed to open her mouth, and it was like in a little syringe, stick the medication down her throat, not an issue again. She, like I said, she wants to be on people's lap. She wants to be cuddled the whole time. Right now she's being standoffish. Well, she's got her little area over there on the cattery, so she's fine there. Yeah, she's just a really super sweet little thing, but I'm now covered in white cat hair. I'm used to black cat hair that doesn't really show up unless I'm wearing white or light colored clothing, and now I'm wearing this navy color, and you can't see it, but I can see it, and it's like all over my chest. So back to yarn. So that's all the yarn I spun. Then we're going to start with the stuff I got for my birthday. So I got these two lovelies and this from a friend, and this is, well, I'll show you this one. This is Posh Yarns Martha, which is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and it's 100 grams, roughly 400 meters, 440 yards. So I think I have some nice browns that I can pair this with, and this will make a nice shawl as well, probably, because there's two skeins, so I have about 800 yards. I would need like maybe 2 more to make a sweater out of this, but this is just currently going into my stash to decide what I'm going to do that. And then this is probably going to be a project bag or something like that. So that's one of the presents I got. And then I got some other stuff that wasn't yarn related. So then I got these two lovelies. This is Malabrigo sock, Light of Love. And it got paired with hedgehog fibers. This is just the regular sock yarn. So that's 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, 100 meters, 400 grams. And this one's also 100 meters, 400 grams. So this one. So what I'm going to do with this one is, what was I going to do with this one? Oh yeah, I'm going to and I can't see what I was going to do this. I was going to do a gleam mystery knit along by with that Isolde is currently hosting. But I need a third color for this, and now I can't remember what I decided was going to be my third color. If I think of it, we'll see. So I got these two lovelies, all speckled yarn. It's really cute. So that's what I have. Yeah, I really can't remember what the third color was I was going to use for this. Maybe it was this one. Okay, anyway. Then I was at Ovelia, and I couldn't resist getting some more hedgehog, but this one is twist sock. Oh, this one, by the way, is called Film Noir. And I have that in twist sock as well, but I bought that some time ago. That's just the regular sock. So I decided to get some twist sock because I really like the colors. And again, I keep saying I'm not like an orange and yellow kind of person, but I just can't resist buying the yarn. I don't know why. So I got this one, and then I got, this is Malabrigo Rios in the Pearl 10 colorway. This is going to be a hat. Unfortunately, they only had the one skein, so because I was going to try and make a hat and cowl set, but that'll just be, maybe I'll just make that into a cowl, as I have some Rios in two other colors, and make that the hat and this the cowl. I don't know. Most of the yarn I bought is project specific. Other yarn like the Pearl 10, not so much. Then Carolina, that was the owner from Ballersdonge, that closed down last year, and then she closed the online shop earlier this year. She still had a lot of stock left over from having the shop, so she decided that she created a group on Facebook. Pardon me. And she decided that she was going to sell off some of the yarn that she had in stock still, and that she wasn't likely to use for projects herself. So I took advantage of that sale, and I got the following. Now, I'm showing you one skein of each color that I got, but I got several skeins of each color. So I'm going to start with the sock 4, which is sock yarn, and this, again, like I said, I'm not yellow, and then I go buy this yellow color. It's more mustard. It's not really a yellow. But I saw this post a bit late, because otherwise I would have gotten some of the other sock yarn as well, because this is stuff I really use a lot of, especially doing doing the Sock Madness in March, April, May. You use up a lot of sock yarn. So I got 3 skeins of this, and I'm just, sorry about the noise, but it's going to go in the bag where it was in, so there might be rustling. Then she had some other yarn that was on sale, which was the Hertegarn Hertefine Highland wool, 100% wool. Again, yellow. And I'm making a sweater out of this. I got all the skeins, all the balls that she had of this color, 24 of them, because I've never used this yarn, so I didn't know how much I was going to need to make a sweater, and I signed up for Test Knit for Tin Can Knits, which is the sweater I'm finishing. I have the left sleeve left to do, but I can't show you because it's a test knit, and she asked not to show anything on social media or on podcasts and that kind of stuff, so I'm not showing it. I've put some photos up on my Instagram account, but it doesn't show anything, so it just shows you plain knitting, which in this color, so I'm not giving anything of the pattern away. So I got 24 skeins. I've only gone into the 8th ball for the sweater. Granted, there was a colorwork section over here at the top. It's a yoked sweater, and I used a different color, and actually it was this color that I paired it with, so I've got a sweater with these two. I only got two balls of this. That's what she had left over, so that's why I used this one and not one of the other colors, because I have more of the other colors. Rusty, go to the floor, please. So I'm finishing a sweater with this. So I've only gone into the 8th ball of this one. So that means I have about 16 left over. And there's a couple of Brooklyn tweed patterns that like use loft. This one's very similar to loft in terms of thickness, I personally think, okay, because I have used loft and I personally think this is pretty much identical. I mean, obviously it's not the same composition of yarn, but it acts the same, shall we say. I must add here that this yarn is fantastic for color work. The sweater I've done is amazing. Seriously, I think it's the first one that I've really made, other than the first cowl I ever made in color work, that I've not had any issues with tension at all. The reason I say that is because the way I knit Portuguese style, so I use a pin, which I don't have on today, but I use a pin to tension my yarn, and using this method, I use way less yarn than whatever is called for in the pattern, because I really tension my yarn really tightly, and then I knit tightly as well, so I usually have to go up several needle sizes, but that does not affect the amount of yarn I use. I can go up 2 needle sizes and still use less yarn than most other people if they were to, the way that they knit. So with this one, I had to get a nice tension, nice fabric on the color work. I went up 2 needle sizes than what was recommended in the pattern. I did that on the 375s, which gave me a fantastic. Like I said, I can't show you now. Once the pattern is live, I'll obviously show you the sweater, and I'll show you the color work section and how it came out. So I used 375 for this. This recommends 3mm needles. Okay, so that's already 3 sizes up from the recommended needle that I'm using on this yarn. To knit the rest of the body of the sweater, to get the gauge I needed, I had to go up to 4.5mm on this yarn. So I'm knitting the rest of the body of the sweater. I'm knitting on 4.5s, which is crazy because this is basically a fingering weight yarn. But that's the way I knit. To get 26 stitches for 4 inches, 10 centimeters, I need to use 4.5mm needles. That's just the way things are. That just proves that I have a really tight gauge. So those are 2 colors, and then I have 3 balls of this color. It's like a burgundy wine color, and then I have 2 grays, a light colored and a dark colored. It's a shame she didn't have like an in-between gray. That would make a really nice sweater. So I have 5 skeins each of this, so that gives me a whole sweater. I can do a whole colorwork sweater, and Tin Can Knits is coming out with, I believe they're coming out with a book, because they've asked for a lot more test knitters for a lot more colorwork sweaters, and there's one sweater in there that is colorwork throughout, and she uses, if you go on Instagram, on her feed, there's like a preview, a sneak peek of the sweaters. And I almost signed up for that test, but because I have this one to finish and I have a whole bunch of other stuff I want to knit, I decided not to do any more test knitting at the moment. Again, we're in the summer. It's not super hot, but it is hot, and working with 100% wool, even though it's super light, like I said, each skein of this, each ball, is only 40 grams. So I'm up to 320 grams in one sweater, which is like super light for me. I usually use up to 400, 500 grams in a sweater, depending on the type of yarn. Anyway, so yeah, I decided not to test it. But once it comes out, I'm definitely like I said, I believe it's going to be a book because it's all about yokes and color work. So I think it's going to be a whole book on sweaters and that kind of thing that they're releasing probably towards the autumn. I'll buy the book, definitely, because most of the sweaters I want to knit. Maybe not use the same colors that they use, but that's each person has their own personal preferences. But that one sweater that's overall knitting, overall color work, I think I'm definitely going to use this one and the darker gray for that, and maybe add in a pop of color using some of the, like maybe the brown that I still have one skein of. But we'll see. Once the sweater comes out, I need to see yardages required and all that. So if it's going to be anything similar to what I've used on my current one, then I have the 10 skeins of the grays is going to be more than enough to to make a sweater. So then there's one yarn I forgot to show you from Ovelha Negra, which is going to be my Little Waves cardigan. I was going to use the Felted Tweed by Rowan that I got from a friend who also gifted me the pattern at the time, but I did the swatch and the yarn is just too... Sorry about this. I always do this. I don't know. I should change the name of the podcast to the yawning podcast. The Yawning Knitter, maybe. Sorry. So I was gonna do a Little Waves cardigan in a dark brown felted tweed, but it's too tweedy and too dark for the pattern of the Little Wave cardigan to come out. So I decided to go. I wanted a darker color for the cardigan because I have some light colored cardigans, mostly grays, that I wear a lot, but I wanted something different. Not black, not gray, something different. So I went to Ovelha at the time and I got this one. I might have shown this on the last podcast, I can't remember. So I got this one, again like a maroony color, and I'm going to use this. This is Olivia, which is 45% merino, 45% cotton, 55% merino, and I'm going to use it doubled to get the thickness of yarn I need. So that's going to be and at the time she gave me this little book of beanies collection, which she had for free, so I might use the Pearl 10 to make one of these actually. We'll see. So this is actually my intended project for July. So make the cardigan, because I know the gauge I get on 5mm needles, because I've knit 2 sweaters from Olivia doubled up, so I know the gauge I get on that, and that's pretty much accurate to the gauge I need for the Little Wave cardigan. So hopefully next week when I podcast, and I will podcast, I'm going to force myself to podcast, because I really like talking to you guys, and my problem is that come Sunday morning I'm like, there's not enough light outside, I'm gonna wait till later, and then I end up not podcasting. So I'm just gonna do it. Nope, I'm gonna podcast and stick to it. And over the coming months, hopefully I'll have more to show you. Like I said, now I've been working on the test knit, so I haven't got much to show you. And I was dealing with health issues from some family relatives and my own. I've had to go to the doctors for several things, and nothing major, just stuff we women have to do. So anyway, then back to Carolina selling off stock at from that she had left over from Balder's Tom. She also had one skein left over, and she didn't even put this one up on the internet, because I went over to pick up my yarn, and I said, so what other yarn do you have lying around that you want to sell? And that's where I got the next 4 skeins that I'm going to show you, but I have, of one of them I have a couple more skeins. So she had one skein of this one. Hedgehog, High Twist again, and Sour Cherry, which is black and red. Now, this one I'm pretty sure is going to be a Stephen West shawl. I believe it's the Dotted Rays, but I'm not 100% made up my mind if it's going to be the Dotted Rays or another one. But I have about 65 grams left over of black. I'm sorry, I'm definitely changing the name of the podcast, or at least this episode. Anyway, I have 65% roughly left over of black that I used for the sweater I was knitting, the boxy, the V-neck boxy. So I'm going to pair that with this one and make a bigger shawl. So like I said, probably going to be the Dotted Rays and start with this one and then end with the black. So that is going to be a nice combo. I don't know when I'm going to have time to knit all this stuff, but those are my plans. And as you all know, plans can change. I might find a different project that is perfect for this yarn. Then the other yarn I got, and even though I have a lot of this yarn in my stash, I've not actually used it. I will be using it shortly because there's a sweater I plan to knit, but maybe I'll make the shawl first. Maybe I'll make the shawl first to see how that yarn works. Anyway, the other yarn I bought and that I've never used, and I have heard it talking about it, and it's an Irish yarn as well, is Little Life, or Life in the Long Grass. LITLG. Life in the Long Grass. And it's got a cute little label. And this is their fine sock. And I got this color, peach. I got antique. And I got 3 skeins of Jezebel. So I think what I was going to do is use these two. Like I have 3 skeins of this and 1 skein of this, so I'm just going to add it. And I think this was the one that was going to pair with the birthday yarn for the shawl. I think that's going to make a nice fade kind of thing. And this is probably going to be another sweater or something, because I have 3 skeins of this. So that was it for the yarn, and we're already at half an hour, and I've talked a lot, and the little boy is still not moving from the table, but I've cleared the table a bit. So we're gonna go on to the stuff that I've blocked, but I still need to weave in ends. So this is a project I'll show you in a minute. So I have this one. This is one Halloween scarf, shawl. He just stretched and changed positions. So this is a fetch by Cartouche on Ravelry, and this yarn is, the orange is from Gradient's Yarns on Etsy, and it was her pumpkin colorway, and this one I believe is Berry Colorful Yarnings, and it was her Halloween colorway. And this yarn, Mr. Soot ate this yarn. I had like whatever was like a little ball left over, and he got into it and he ate some of it, which I obviously threw out because I scolded him so much that he puked it up. I told him if he didn't puke it up, he was going to go back to the hospital, and I did not want to know anything more. He was going to stay there. I was not going to pick him up, and I guess he took it to heart and threw it all up. Anyway, and then the leftovers, like there was a whole bunch of pieces I found lying around. That's all gone into my, all the little pieces has gone into my crochet blanket, which I was going to bring to show you, but I've not done anything on it. So this is a fetch. It starts here on the small edge. And I believe I've actually woven in the ends on this. I just need to cut them off. So it just goes there, gets bigger and bigger. So this is going to be a nice Halloween scarf for me to wear. Yeah, I think I've woven in the ends. I just need to, there's only one end I need to weave in. So I blocked this pretty aggressively, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So I'm not gonna fold them. I'm just gonna put them here and see. So next one that I definitely have to weave in ends. This was Joji Locatelli's Mystery Knit Along 2 years ago, I believe. I don't think it was last year. And again, I did not pin this out. I just washed it, left it to soak, and then laid it out on the table. I might redo this and really block it aggressively. But if I'm going to do that, I'm going to ask Angela from the Danagulha shop. You can't see him. Yeah, he's completely black, so you can't see him. But that's Soot over there eating. That's his eating spot. Anyway, I'm going to ask her for her blocking wires and pin that out instead of putting a million pins all the way around the thing. So, but I think I'm really going to do that again. Reblock this one because I want this. Even though it's really nice at the moment, and you can't see all of it again. So I'll start here. So it goes here. There, and this was knit in 2 sections, and then we knit it all together, so like that. I want it, this can be a lot wider. It's pretty narrow right now, but I think I can stretch it out a lot wider. So I'm gonna probably reblock this one, even though at the moment it's a nice length that it is, and it's gonna be a nice scarf, something I'm gonna use a lot in the winter. Then I had this other one that was super tiny, and it's still small. And I can't remember the name of this. And this is also a Joji Locatelli pattern. But this one was tiny. Look who's come to show. Hey, Soot. Where are you? Soot! You come to say hello? Look, my 2 boys. Come on then. No? Okay. You, lie down. So, and was I showing you the right side or the wrong side? No, I was showing you the right side. I can't remember what the name is of this pattern. It's a Joji Locatelli one, and I do need to weave in ends here. I made a mistake here, which you can see there. I undid the. I know I knit back, and I knit the thing, and I chinked it back again, and I frogged it, and whatever, and I just could not get the pattern to go the way it was supposed to on that row. I don't know why, but that's what happened. So, but like, I mean, it's a decent sized little shawlette, shall we say, which is okay. You want to come here? No? So I'm happy with the way this one blocked out, and like I said, I blocked it really aggressively. I tend to do that with a lot of my shawls, unless they're already super large, and then I don't need to, obviously. Then another one that I also have to weave in ends, and this is also made out of Olivia. I believe this is the Spice Market, and I can't remember the name of the designer, but this is definitely the Spice Market shawl. This one, again, I did not block it like I should have. I just laid it out. I got to a point where it was really hot on the day I was blocking this. I actually got sunburned and everything. And usually what I do is I wet block the item, and I take it out, squeeze out as much water as I possibly can without twisting the item, and then roll it up in a towel and squeeze out more water in that way before I block it. But on this day, I could not use the towel to squeeze out extra yarn, because by the time I laid it out and actually started pinning it, the thing was dry already. So I just laid this one out, you know, just stretched it out with my fingers, and so it starts here in this color, in this end, and like I said, I have all the ends to weave in. But these are easy to weave in. They're really super quick to weave in. Now, if I ever knit this shawl again, or when I use this yarn to knit shawls in the future, I'm not going to have ends to weave in, because this yarn, I can do the split splicing method to attach it to one another, and that works a lot faster, and that avoids having any any ends to weave in. Obviously you have the beginning ends, but I wouldn't have all these little ends here to weave in. So it goes on to there, and this, like, I really like this section actually. It's really cute. And then it ends with this. So that was another one I blocked. I had a big blocking party. And then one of the ones I was really happy with blocking was this one, which is a Stephen West shawl. It's the eyeball one. And I knit this at the beginning of 2016. Okay, and I only blocked it in the summer of 2018, 2 years later. And I used drops alpaca, the lace for this. So here's the eyeball. If you go to my Instagram feed, there's a photo of it all laid out with Madame Dakota kindly lying on it, because, you know, that's, as a pet, that's your obligation. When your owner is blocking items, you go lie on them. Now, most of the other this is the only one I blocked on the floor, because it was just too big to put on the table that I was using to block things on. I had the blocking mat and all that, but I used the table. That way I also didn't have to be on my knees. I have issues with my knees. That's one of the doctor appointments I had this week, and I have a follow-up coming up. So yeah, this is the one I blocked on the floor. And of course, Dakota, nice little girl that she is, had to completely stretch out. I don't mind that they do this. I mean, I have dog hair and cat hair all over the place anyway. I'm more worried about them hurting themselves on the pins I used to block the items. But they don't care. And then the last one, again, an item I finished like in 2016, if not earlier, is the Hitofude, which is a lovely pattern, and it looks huge, but it fits perfectly. I could have, truthfully, knit a size smaller. But I knit this using my Volmice lace garden. Let's show you the right side of the cardigan. Right, so you start with, and seriously, anyone wanting to learn how to knit lace, this is a perfect pattern. It's the same, it's a repeat of the pattern, and it's a very simple construction actually. It's really nice. You make basically a big rectangle, then you 3 needle bind off the sleeves here, and then you continue on to make the border around, and I'll put it on quickly so you can see, but it's kind of hot today, but I'll just put it on so you can see. Now I might have blocked this one a bit too aggressively around the border around here, but this is the way it's supposed to fit. Now I'm going to get up, and I hope that the microphone does not come out. So here it is. It's the way it's supposed to fall, and I'll just move the chair and turn around like that. In terms of length, I probably could have gone longer, but I didn't block, I just laid the sleeves out, but as you can see, it just automatically blocks on my arm anyway. So, and then what I might do is just add a pin here or something to have it closed up, or the whole idea is just to wear it like this. So, and I'm going to take it off because it's warm. I'm going to sit back down. If you hear any noise, I doubt you'll hear it, but if you hear any noise, it's playing in a box that I have in the hallway. Now I can't get this off because I went to have a massage yesterday, and I'm kind of sore today. The first time ever I had like a proper massage. It wasn't one of those nice relaxing ones. No, I have been complaining. The reason I stopped podcasting last year in November was because of the headaches I was having all the time, and even though I went on medication that the doctor prescribed and all that, the headaches did seem to go away. But I do know that if I pick up a whole bunch, like if I pick up heavy things, the first thing I notice is the start of a headache, and it all goes into the muscles, all related to the muscles in my neck and my shoulders. And so I went to get a massage yesterday finally, and she really worked out a lot of kinks in my neck and my shoulders, but it's not all 100% fixed, but it's getting there. So today I'm kind of sore. That's why I have less mobility in my arms. So okay, that was everything I blocked. Now finally on to what I'm working on in terms of knitting and crocheting, because I've got 2 knitting projects on the needles and 2 crochet projects on the needles. So the one knitting project I can show you, like I've mentioned earlier in the podcast, is a test knit I'm doing for Tin Can Knits. It's a sweater, a yoked sweater with color work in the yoke only, this one. And I only have the left sleeve to finish. I'm hoping to pick that up today and finish it today. It's fairly quick knit. I do it magic loop. I knit all my sleeves magic loop, and I know I can do it if I just sit down and focus on it. And due to the heat, the dogs will probably not want to go outside too much today. Then the other project I'm working on, and I've had to put this on different needles so that I don't lose it, is the shawl that I designed and is up available on Ravelry, back to its regular price. And I'm hosting a cal for this. I've not seen anyone enter, so if at the end of the cal, if by the end of this month there's no entries, I'm just gonna lock the thread and or keep it open and just remove all the prize info and all that kind of stuff, because yeah, if there's no one interested in joining the knit along, then that's fine by me. So I made a start, and I'm using Ovelha Negra Olivia. So I made 3 repeats of the pattern so far. I just changed the triangle, the edging here to what is in the available in the pattern. I took this from a different pattern, paid for pattern, so I can't publish that. So that's my 3 repeats so far. This is going to be just the lace color. Rusty, lie down. And then the body of the shawl is going to be in these 2 colors, and I'm pretty sure I showed this last time. These 2 colors in stripes, and then I might add in a couple of stripes, so this one here and there, as I will most likely have plenty left over. So that's, as soon as I finish the sweater, this is what I'm going to be focusing on again, at least to get the lace section done. There's a knit group on this coming Thursday at Ovelha Negra, and I want to see if I can get the lace section done so that I can work on the body section during the knit group. So that's that. And then I'm doing the crochet blanket, just the granny stripe blanket. I've not worked on it for quite some time, so it's in the cupboard over there. And then what I have been working on is in these 2 tins, is thanks to a viewer of the podcast, which I mentioned last week on, I made a little clip on IGTV, and I mentioned that thanks to a viewer of the podcast who started making this blanket, I went down the rabbit hole and started one of my own, and it's the Battenberg blanket. I believe the person behind a Cherry Heart podcast came up with the name and the design of the blanket. It's basically she has created a solid granny square a pattern for that, and that's what she's using to make this Battenberg blanket. Now I'm gonna do okay, you start making, you know how you start making a project and then you start getting a whole bunch of ideas. Oh, I'm going to make one like this, and I'm going to make one. That's me. So I've started this one, and I've already ordered the contrasting color, the main color I'm going to use. I was going to use maybe the navy blue that I still have from Drops, but I've already got 3 blankets using that as the main color, so I was like, nah, I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to go for white this time. Not a great idea with pets, but that's beside the point. So I've already ordered that from Dona Gullia. Angela said that she, because she sells that, she buys that herself to dye up mini skeins, and she also sells the yarn in the shop. So I asked her if she could make like maybe a special order for me, and she said that wasn't a problem. I said how many skeins I thought I would need. I probably ordered too many, which I tend to do, but I've done the calculations and I know the size of the blanket I want and the amount of squares I'm going to need to make that, and how many grams I use per square, more or less. So now hopefully it won't all fall out. I think Soot's locked himself up in the kitchen. So there. That's a whole bunch of squares that I've done so far. And sit out of the way. You're in the way. So I've made mine 4 rows. The Philippa, the viewer of the podcast who's making hers, is only doing hers 3 rows. I've made 4 rows, and mine are roughly 7 centimeters across. So from that measurement, I've taken, I've decided the size of my blanket, and I need roughly 570 colored squares, and then slightly more of the white squares. I've already made a layout of how I want them, and depending on how much yarn I have, I get like a whole pile like this, or I get slightly more like this, or I only get 3 out of one color. So with that, I've made a little spreadsheet, and again, if you don't know that about me, I like making spreadsheets and keeping track of how much yarn I'm using and everything. Another reason I've done that, I've started really doing that, is to keep track of all the yarn I buy and I use up. My goal for this year was to use more yarn from stash than yarn that came in. Obviously June, I totally blew that goal out of the water. I've been going so far up until June. I was managing to knit a lot more from stash knit more than what was coming in. Even though I did buy yarn throughout those first 5 months, sometimes it was yarn that I used straight away in projects, and so that like what left didn't even go into my stash. So this other tin is the other leftovers that I have, and which I'll be using in the blanket as well. So yeah, I made a little spreadsheet to see how many. He wants to go to the floor finally. Okay, a little spreadsheet to see how many squares I've got of each color, and then I've started dividing them over the size of the blanket I want to make, because I have a whole bunch of similar colors that I don't want two next to one another. So the next one I'm gonna cast on is this, and this happens to be Mrs. Robinson's sock yarn. I believe it's no, it's not Cinderella, it's the other one. I forget the name, but it's her. It's the 100% merino. It's not the sock yarn, it's the 100% merino, and I'm using a prim needle, metal needle. This one was my grand's, and it says here for 1.75. Now, if I go into the shop and I look at any other 1.75 millimeter needles, it's a lot bigger than this hook, as you can see here. So I'm thinking this is maybe a 2.5. They've probably changed the numbering over, the sizing over the years. So I've been just keeping them in this cute little bag. Put a couple of skeins in here, and just as I've been going to a lot of doctor's appointments, I've just had this in my bag with me the whole time, and just picked it up and had several comments. I was at the hospital doing one of the exams I needed to do, and while I was waiting, there's me making little crochet squares, and one of the nurses came by and was like, made a comment or something, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? Either sit here and stare at a wall, or sit here and read a book on my phone, or I might as well sit here and work on something that I want to work on, like this blanket. I need to make 570 squares, so they're not going to get made by themselves. So that's what I've been doing. And this nurse, by the way, she was like, oh yeah, it's nice to actually see people, young people, do this, because usually you only see the grannies knitting, whatever. So what do I do with the leftovers of the yarn? For instance, I get yesterday's yarn, for instance. It was wrong tin. Problem of having two identical tins. Yesterday's yarn, for instance, was again Mrs. Robinson's yarn, and this was a navy, and this is actually the yarn that was left over from this, and it's gone into 2 of my other blankets as well. So I got 2, 4, 6, about 9 squares out of like the 20 odd grams that I had of it left over, and then I had some left over that wasn't enough to make another square. So what I did is added to the stash of leftovers for the granny stripe blanket. And what I've been doing is just making they call gobstoppers, like all the different colors. And eventually when I get to roughly 250 or 300 grams, I just put this in the ball winder and cake it up and work from the cake. Yeah, so it's locked himself up in the kitchen. He's trying to get out and he can't get the door open now. So that's what I have. That's what I do. And just keep it in here because of a cat called Soot who likes to eat yarn. Little girl, she's shown some interest in the yarn, but nothing like Soot. I mean, she's been sitting on my lap most evenings, and I've been either crocheting or knitting on the sweater. And okay, sometimes she'll go for the yarn because it's like coming right at her or like right past her face or something, but it's just lying there most of the time, and she doesn't even show any interest in it at all. So yeah, anyway, I've been talking close to an hour now. My throat is dry. I want to go pick up the sweater. I need to tidy all this stuff up again that is lying all over here, and I need to edit this quickly. Minor editing, by the way. I'm just warning you now, it's minor editing. I'm just gonna maybe just upload it as is and just put my name at the beginning and leave it at that, because I really want to get the sleeve done. I want to get the sweater done. I need to block it, and as I'm off this week, I can block it here at the house. I should be able to block it here in the living room on the table I'm podcasting at the moment, which is my dining room table. And so I'm going to focus on my shawl this week and on the crochet blanket, the Battenberg one, the squares, and then hopefully I'll get a start on the little wave cardigan that I want to knit as well. And then the other focus of the week is to clear out once and for all, get it all organized, my craft room, because it's now getting beyond messy. And I know I have a lot of more projects that need blocking, so I need to put those to the side, and I need to make a pile of the items that are just, need some minor finishing, like adding buttons and stuff. I just need to put those to the side so that I can just, when I finish a project, just to finish it completely, and then pick up one of those ones that needs finishing and quickly do that. Like sewing on a button doesn't take a lot of time. It's just something I don't like to do. But if I want to have the cardigans to wear in the winter, I'm going to have to do it. So that's what I'm quickly going to do this week. Really try to sort everything out in the craft room, and I won't promise anything because I don't know if I'm going to get around to it. I'm going to have to see. 'Cause usually when I make plans to do this, other things come in between and I never get around to do it. So my idea is to sort out the craft room, which is behind this wall. And if I do so, then I'm going to show you a before and after picture. Maybe film a little bit. We'll see. I can't guarantee. So enjoy the rest of your day. for me, it's Sunday, so I'm definitely gonna quickly get this uploaded and work on the sleeve for the rest of the afternoon, and take the dogs for a walk and make sure that the rest of the 2 cats are okay and everything. And yeah, so enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week. I'm going to be off on vacation. I have time off work. It's not really a vacation because I'm not going anywhere. I'm just staying here. I have things to take care of. I need to renew the dog licenses. I have several doctor's appointments to go to, and I have to go free Soot from the kitchen because he's locked up in the kitchen. So have a nice day, enjoy the rest of your weekend, or whenever it is you're watching this, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.